Hello everyone, today we're going to do a painting tutorial on the natural world. So a really good way to do this is to go out and collect flowers and plants either on a walk or in your back garden, and wildflowers are really good for this. So either collecting them and bringing them back or taking photographs are both really good ways for you to make a really individual painting of your own. So we're going to look at Angie Lewin as an artist and a bit of inspiration. She's a printmaker, so all of her colours are quite bold and the lines that she uses are quite simplified but also quite bold as well. So we're going to use that as a guide. So I've taken some of the elements from Angie Lewin's work, for example the horizon line and some of the backdrop pieces. So I'm going to now add in some of my own flowers that I've collected. So this, for example, needs simplifying a little bit. So just pick out key areas, and you don't have to do the whole thing. You can pick out smaller flowers. So I'm going to get this clump of little seed pods at the top of mine, and I'm trying to draw it quite light so I can add over the top or add some flowers and some watercolour over the top later on. But really all I'm trying to do is move my paper around so I'm comfortable, draw these flowers on quite lightly, and see, keep some sort of sense of symmetry. So we're going to mix our colours first, and the colours in the painting that we're looking at are quite muted, and what I mean by that is they're no really standout bright colours. So we're going to mix them in the pot first, and with watercolour what we try and do is build up a pot of water, or a body of water that we can then mix our colour into. So I'll put the brush into the water, brush it off on the side, and I'm going to take the top layer of paint off these palettes and add it to my pot. So I'm going to use a kind of a burnt orange. So the more times I rub on the top of that colour palette, the brighter or stronger the colour will be. So I'm going to make sure that this colour along the edge, and just check what kind of colour that is. And then I can start with my painting. So mix your three colours that you're working from, and then we can start on to the next stage. So I'm going to start with my orange up here. Now I started with a clean brush. I've just mixed it in the pot and dried it off, ready with a dry clean brush. I'm just going to load my brush up with some paint, and I'm going to make sure that I move my painting around just so I get the edges nice and neat. I'm not scrubbing the surface of the paper, because what happens there is that the paper starts to lift off the surface, because all the fibres in the paper pick away if you scrub it too much. So we're going to add our second layer of colour to this flower here, and we're going to do what's called a counter change. So in here I'll have quite a dark colour, and I've got the lightest colour of the two greens here, and I use the darkest colour on the top here. So as you can see, I've counter-changed these colours together, so I'm now going to use the lighter green again on this section here. Now what I'm trying to focus on is making sure again that I've not got too much paint on my brush, so it doesn't go outside the areas that I'm trying to work with, and it also doesn't leave as many big globs of paint in places where I don't want them. So just using the tip of my brush, again with my palm, just to rest the brush into a place where I'm comfortable. Now I don't have to add colour to all of these sections, I can leave a couple blank, and I'm thinking about what colours I'm going to do in the next sections. I want to kind of contrast quite a few of these colours together to make the shape stand out. So I'm happy with that for now, and we can go on to the next stage. Okay, so we're going to add our final layers of detail with a paintbrush, and what we need to do is make sure the brush isn't too wet. So I mix my colour a little bit darker than the colours I've already been using. Make sure that I can use my paper towel just to dry off any excess water. And again, I'm going to rest my palm on the paper so I can get these fine levels of detail. And all I'm doing is just in nice smooth strokes, try and get some of that level of detail in with the fine tip of your brush, almost like I'm using a pencil. So in this flower here, we're just going to pick out some of the fine little details with pen. You don't have to do the whole thing, because it can look a little bit too much and ruin all the nice work that you've done before. But what it does do is just pick out those areas, cover up any little bits or blemishes that you've done with your paint where you've overlapped, and just redefines some of those shapes. Now, just to recap, we're hopefully trying to build up nice smooth pastel colours. We're drawing from little natural plants and flora and fauna that you've collected to create a composition that you're happy with. Filling in areas of gaps, making sure there's no big blank areas. Here's my finished version. I hope you enjoyed working on this as much as I did, and I think the important thing is collecting flowers and making yours an individual piece. Good luck with it, guys.